Hello and welcome to our new video podcast, Bus Tech Talk. In this new show, me and my co-host Mark Hollenbeck, Business Development Manager at Complete Coachworks, will speak to maintenance professionals from the transit industry to discuss what's going on in their worlds, including challenges they're facing at their shops, working with new technologies, and much more. Today our guest is Charlie Busse, Maintenance Manager of Bloomington-Normal, Illinois' Connect Transit. We're excited to take you behind the front lines to hear firsthand from some of the folks that keep transit buses moving in the communities you serve, and hope you enjoy our first episode. Thanks for joining us. Welcome back to Bus Tech Talk. I'm Alex Stroman, Executive Editor for Metro Magazine.
Hey everybody, I'm Mark Hollenbeck. I'm the National Business Development Manager at Complete Coachworks.
And today we're excited to welcome Charlie Busse, Maintenance Manager at Connect Transit, the public transportation provider for Bloomington-Normal, Illinois. In his role, Charlie oversees the maintenance operations of the agency's fleet, ensuring that every vehicle on the road is safe, reliable, and ready to serve the community. Charlie, thanks for joining us. How's it going?
I'm good. How are you guys doing?
Great, thanks.
Great.
So we like to start out, I find it fascinating of how people end up in transit. Usually not the initial avenue people choose. So can you talk a little bit about how you became part of the industry and what your background was previous to coming to public transit?
Yeah, absolutely. So 12, 13 years ago, I think I actually started in auto parts. And one of the guys that I worked with at Advance Auto Parts years ago, he went on to manage an independent automotive shop here in town, and then he moved on to Connect Transit. He was the maintenance manager when he started here, and eventually he reached out to me and offered me a maintenance supervisor position here. So I decided to take that role. I had never ridden a public transit bus before, ridden school buses and things like that, but never a city bus. Didn't know anything about buses, but started here and have now learned a lot about buses. So, and my wife gets very annoyed with how much I talk about buses or point things out when we go places or see them on movies. So I think that just comes with the territory.
Yeah. And once you came on board, I mean, what sort of kept you interested in the industry, and what kind of helped fuel your growth at Bloomington? Did you find a mentor there? Were you able to kind of just get under someone's wing and kind of grow at the agency?
Yeah, so Brady is now our deputy managing director here at Connect Transit. He is the one that I worked with at Advance Auto Parts, and he was in my role previously here. He started here as the maintenance manager. So he moved on from maintenance to procurement. He was doing both, kind of filling in for procurement because we were between procurement directors at the time. And he eventually went to that full time, which opened up the maintenance manager spot. So I moved up to that. And even when he was in his procurement director role before he got promoted to deputy managing director, myself and several other people were still going to him like he was the deputy managing director. So it was great having him here to teach me the transit ropes and help me grow in my career here. And honestly, I never thought I'd get into public transit, or I never planned on getting into public sector at all. But I like shop management. I managed some automotive shops before I came here. I went from auto parts sales to automotive shop management, and I like this aspect. I'm still managing a shop, and I think we're helping people more than I was at a dealership or an independent shop before. We provide a very necessary service. A lot of people don't think so, but it is. I think it's a true necessity nationwide. So it feels good to be able to provide a good service and have safe, clean, reliable vehicles.
Yeah, I think, Charlie, I mean, when you and I first talked about doing this podcast together, you're a little hesitant because I think you felt like maybe Connect Transit was too small or a smaller agency, and we should talk to big agencies. But I think it's equally important to hear, your aspect and how you're, helping a smaller community, right, with such a vital service like you just said. To that point, when you said, Brady kind of mentored you, I've seen you both. I've visited your location there in person. I've seen how great your team is, but you guys also get out and go to a lot of the industry events at APTA and the state Illinois Transit event and
Hmm.
regional shows. How valuable do you see that for your maintenance team and overall kind of shared knowledge in the industry of visiting, those type of events, rodeos, and what have you, and learning from other agencies in the area?
Me personally, that's been probably the second biggest thing for my growth, behind Brady's leadership. Um, I've met a lot of great people in the industry. Nice thing about transit is none of us are competing with each other. Everyone's willing to share everything. So we all help each other out. I've got contacts all over the country that I'll reach out to with questions, and they reach out to me with questions. Surprisingly, I actually had someone from Dart and Dallas reach out to me last week or the week before, which is always kind of weird having a big agency like that reach out to the little guys. So it feels kind of good though when it's not the other way around. So, um, but we're all, it's like a big fraternity where we're all helping each other, and we're all willing to do whatever we can to help other people's systems improve as well.
Yeah, and on that topic of being a smaller agency, can you maybe talk about some of the challenges you've experienced and on the converse, some of the benefits of being a smaller transit agency, for your shop?
We were going the battery electric route. Um, we had, I only had a fleet of 44 fixed route buses, and we got up to 12 battery electric Proterra buses. So a quarter of my fleet was electric. And then actually last year we were supposed to be getting 10 more buses to make 50% battery electric fleet, which for a system my size, having 22 battery electric buses would have been very difficult. Um, and it proved itself when we were like a quarter battery electric, because just having just having 12, Dart, when they reached out, it was because they have 8 Proterra buses and they're having their issues with them. And, um, you know, 8 buses out of service for Dart is not a big deal. It's an annoyance, but they can deal with it. When I had 12 battery electric buses out of service, it's a huge deal. We unfortunately had to cut peak service on 4 or 5 different routes, just because I didn't have the fleet to be able to service it. Um, so it's our battery electric has been a challenge. We've actually backtracked a little bit on that. We're buying some hybrids. We're getting some hybrids from Gillig here within the next year. I think next March is our on the line date. So looking forward to that. But that was part of our issue. We went, the industry's used hybrid buses for 30 years. We went straight from diesel to battery electric. We never had the high voltage experience like a lot of agencies had with the hybrids. So it was 100% new to us.
Right.
And with a shop with 6 mechanics in it, it's hard to shut the shop down for training.
Yeah.
But it's also hard to devote that much time learning, even working on the bus, just to fix one bus, or I guess at the time 12. So we're using all 6 guys just to stay afloat with the fleet that we have available to us now. We actually just bought some used 2011 New Flyer hybrids from our neighboring agency, Champaign-Urbana, that they were retiring. So we've got 6 of those in service now. So that'll help us, keep our high voltage knowledge and prepare us for our new hybrids we're going to be getting. But it's unfortunate we had to take a step back, but the industry, I think, as a whole, just wasn't ready um, to go that far zero emission. That's what the FTA wanted to push money into, and we jumped in with both feet and had to get a life preserver.
Well, to that point, Charlie, you talk about how, and I hear this a lot when I travel around to all the smaller agencies. When you do the new technology, and then you get buses out, your percentage is a lot higher, like you said, right, of out
Mm-hmm.
buses in your fleet, and the larger agencies can absorb it easier. Also, to that point, you have six techs, right? So when you have maybe one tech or two techs call out sick, you're down to like four guys, right?
Yeah.
So when it comes to technicians, how are you able to recruit new technicians, and where do you see them coming from in an area like Normal, Illinois, where the pool obviously is not as big, right? Are you seeing veterans? Are you seeing trade school graduates? And then how do you retain them? How do you see all that playing out?
So of those six mechanics, four of them actually started here as service technicians. For us, service technicians, they handle our road calls, switch outs, bus cleaning, fueling, fluid checks, um, small defects like lights and things like that, but nothing really repair related or PM related. We may venture into adding them into some of the smaller PMs in the future, but as of right now, that's what they do, and tires and things like that. Um, but f- like I said, four of them used to be in that role, um, and they just showed their ability and their mechanical aptitude when they were service techs. And you know, guys like that, you can tell if they're in that role, they're as a service technician, they're going to get bored and they're going to go somewhere else. So being able to promote them internally and upskill them has been huge for us. And my second second one that moved from service technician to mechanic is actually currently my most skilled technician outside of our foreman. Um, so he's grown tremendously in the 4 years that he's been here, and he actually just built an engine for us. And 4 years ago, he had never done mechanic work professionally.
Oh,
So he's grown tremendously. The other guys have grown tremendously, and that's what we've been kind of required to do, is to get the candidates internally and upskill them, because we're not even getting them out of trade schools. We have a community college here in town, and the only program they have automotive related is EV automotive, and that program was honestly built because of Rivian. So Rivian, they build their EVs right in our backyard. I can see their plant when I step out the back of my building.
Right.
Um, Massive facility. They got like 9,000 employees out there now, but they worked with Heartland to develop that EV program, which is great. But we don't have any kind of diesel or heavy duty schools. We've got one about 50 miles east of us in Champaign, which a lot of those end up going to Champaign-Urbana's transit system. And then about 50 miles to the west of us, we have another community college that has ICC, Illinois Central College, I think. Um, they have a very good diesel program. Their diesel powered engine technology program. I think they do 22 students a year, and it's very selective. They get a ton of applicants every year, and they only run 22 through the program. But it's a very extensive program. They teach them a lot, but a lot of those end up going to Peoria's transit at CityLink over there. So we didn't have anything here in Bloomington-Normal, but we are actually working with Heartland Community College now to help develop a heavy duty training program. And we just heard from one of their teachers that they're actually going to start a diesel class this fall. So we have some money here. We got, I think, about $17 million to expand our facility here because we're out of storage space. Being in Illinois, you want to store your buses inside because leaving them outside at night in the wintertime is not ideal. So it'll have some more storage space and also some training space. So we're working on potentially partnering with Heartland to have classroom space and shop space over in this new building at our current site to let them use that to bring people over for the heavy duty training aspect of it. And also I can send my guys through there, and I've got an easy access to future applicants, kids going through those classes. So we're trying what we can to upskill people around us, but it's been challenging.
Yeah, that's
I
interesting.
was curious about that. No, go ahead, Alex.
No, go ahead, Mark. That's
No,
fine.
I was curious about that, about the training portion of it, Charlie, because it's like, it sounds like you're trying to get a training facility nearby, but do you see also other training opportunities in the industry through, like, this shared knowledge at state rodeos, maintenance rodeos, or at third party training consortiums, or things that are offered through the industry, or even training from the OEMs? Because you have diesel, then you have battery electric, and now you're going to have hybrid, which is a whole nother animal, right? With the high voltage and the diesel engine. So, what other avenues of training are you seeing besides what you talk about?
So as far as engine stuff goes, we're actually blessed to have a Cummins dealer here in town. And we work very closely with them. They handle our midlife overhauls. They've won the last two RFPs that we issued for midlife overhauls. And in that, we're in their shop inspecting the overhauls, things like that, but talking to their technicians. And when their technicians bring the bus back, we're talking to them. And one of their he's actually got promoted. He's not one of their mobile technicians anymore, but we had a cell phone number, and he was a library of Cummins engine knowledge. We could call him and say, "Hey, we got this going on. Oh, check this." Okay. And he'd be right on the right path just from a 5-minute phone call. So, and he never charged us for that. If he came out to the site to help us with something, he charged us for that. But we're able to call him all the time and pick his brain. So Cummins has been a huge plus for us here. Very helpful. But we've worked with OEMs for a lot of training. Carly, one of my supervisors, kind of spearheaded training aspect of it, and she got a ton of vendors out here for various trainings. We got our wheelchair ramps, we got HVAC, we got brakes, transmission, engine. She's done all kinds of training classes for these guys. And like I said, it's difficult to shut down the shop to do it. But sometimes it's only a few hour training. We have had a couple where it's a couple of days. So it's a lot of work to get caught back up after that. But I think it's very valuable for the guys. And the biggest thing for us is some of the training we get from OEMs is when the bus is brand new and then we're not working on it because it's under warranty or it's not broken. And then by the time it's out of warranty and we're fixing it, we forgot everything they trained us. So getting training later on, closer to the time where we're going to be taking that over, would be more beneficial than right after we get the buses. And just continuously refreshing there. So like last spring we did an HVAC. We brought in Thermo King, and they did HVAC training for us. And now this year, our foreman, he actually went to down in Texas last year, of an advanced HVAC advanced HVAC diagnostics course. that was put on by ABC companies. And he came back up here, developed a kind of a class to teach our guys. So we've got a ton of spare HVAC parts, used parts sitting on a shelf upstairs that the supervisors are getting annoyed that we're hoarding it, but we're going to be using it for a class here this spring. So trying to also develop our own training in-house, has sometimes that's all we can do. We can't rely on outside companies for it. So we just get people through as we can. And um, it's kind of a mixed bag of training efforts.
Speaking about all the training you guys are going through and the different, it seems like you guys get, travel around to different sites for that. Speaking about like in your garage with your different models of buses, different propulsion, different technology, what new tools and new technology are you seeing, like the last 3, 4 years in your garage that are changing the way your technicians are working on these buses?
So as far as like electrical diagnostics goes, we were kind of not with the 21st century yet. We just bought an oscilloscope, um, which my foreman, when he got that, it was like a kid with a Christmas present. It was he was very excited to see that and play with it. So he's been hoping something will break since he got it, just to have an excuse to truly use it. Um, but we had to upgrade our Allison dock subscription to handle the hybrid buses we just got. We used to use just a snap-on scanner. Um, Pretty much everything that we have that's light and medium duty is Ford. So I bought a Ford IDS subscription. So that's the Ford factory scan tool. So a lot more info we can get out of the computers with that. A lot deeper diagnostics we can do. And one thing we haven't begun yet, we actually just got the equipment for it, is we're going to be doing a pilot with Pretect. So not sure if you're familiar with them, but it's predictive maintenance software.
Yeah.
So we're going to be doing that here within the next couple of weeks. We'll be getting that installed. We're doing a pilot of 10 buses for 3 months to see how I like it. And then we may end up going that route for our entire fixed route fleet. So that with a staff our size, having that extra help from Pretect, I think is going to be huge. So,
I mean, AI obviously is kind of, for lack of a better term, infiltrating the industry.
yeah.
How has your team, I mean, is your team, kind of willing to take on new technology? I mean, do they have a reticence? How is that working with a small team to get them on board with new technologies to say, hey, this is going to be a benefit, and if it's not, maybe we can move on from it. But how do you get them on board to give it the chance that it needs to be successful?
So our foreman he's very intelligent, and he is all about any technology I can purchase. So he thinks my shop equipment and tools budget is a lot bigger than it is. So he asks for everything. But he's on board with anything technology wise. The rest of the guys, blessing and a curse, they're very green.
Okay.
There's a lot that they don't know. So anything that can help them, they're absolutely willing to go down that road. It's a curse because there's a lot that they don't know. So there's a couple guys in our shop that have to do most of the heavy diagnostic stuff, and the remainder can do, the chassis, steering, suspension, brakes, that kind of stuff. But once you get into really diagnosing, they kind of have to stand back and watch someone and learn from it, but they don't have that ability to do it on their own yet. So getting them to accept technology like that isn't an issue, because they see it as just something else to help them do their jobs and quicker and actually learn from it, I think. So
Okay. And then, bringing in, you mentioned you're bringing in the hybrids. How is that learning curve different than any other technologies that you brought in? I mean, is it similar to always kind of bring in different buses, different types of buses? Can you talk a little bit about, some of the learning curve that you expect to come up and, maybe your plans for dealing with that you've learned from working with other technologies before that?
Yeah, so I know we haven't faced it yet just because they've only been in service for a couple of months now. So, um, and they were they were all pretty much running when we got them from Champaign-Urbana. So we just did basically a big service on them, changed all the fluids and filters and everything to start back from ground zero for our inspection schedule. Um, so I haven't seen the learning curve yet, but I know it's going to be there because with all the issues we've had with our battery electric fleet, they've been out of service for most of their lives. So there really hasn't been a lot of time to learn the high voltage for the guys that are here, just because most of the issues are manufacturer specific, and they're the only ones who can get in there and figure it out. So, well, they haven't been able to figure it out, but that's neither here nor there. Um, but so they haven't had a chance to really dig into high voltage. So it's gonna be a huge learning curve, especially with how much more complex a hybrid is versus a battery electric or a diesel. You're mixing both of those systems into one vehicle. So um, I'm expecting some time spent to learn things as they go down and things like that. But
Yeah.
Well, great, Charlie. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it. Thanks for taking the time again.
yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah. Thank you, Charlie. It's great to see you again. Looking forward to visiting your site again soon.
Look forward to having you.
All right.